The other day I was cleaning my apartment when I came across these cards that I got from former students. They're well-wishing cards, which I thought was rather nice, and it made me reminisce about my old days as being a kindergarten teacher here in Taiwan. For example, this one says, "I love learning English and playing with you. I wish you get 1 million subscribers soon." Which is a really nice card, but today I am no longer a kindergarten teacher, which got me thinking, do I regret teaching English in Taiwan? Basically, for most of my time here in the country, I have been responsible for taking 2-year-old Taiwanese kids who speak zero English and barely even Chinese, all the way up until they're 6 years old and they're able to speak fluently and even able to write amazing books by themselves, like this one, which is called A Day Without the Sun. It's hilarious. It's about a grumpy, spooky shadow who lived in the dark, gloomy village, and one day he got annoyed and threw the sun into the trash can. But little did he know, there was an undercover space police propeller mushroom who worked in a taco restaurant. This mushroom had a friend, a shiny unicorn, who helped them fight off this shadow. The shadow ends up losing this fight, turns into an electric tennis ball, and hits the mushroom and the unicorn, hurting them quite badly. I'm not gonna read this entire story to you, but it is absolutely amazing and I love it. And I can't even take credit for this book because I didn't teach this particular class all the way up until they're 6, but still, it's a great book and I absolutely love it. Foreigners teaching in kindergartens in Taiwan is part of the reason why Taiwanese people speak such good English, and it surprises a lot of foreigners, but it could be even better. Teaching kids English isn't really all that hard if they're young enough because they can mimic your English. If they make a mistake, you can correct them and they can adjust their English pretty quickly. Not everyone has a teacher around them 24/7, and that's why I wanted to introduce today's app. It's pretty cool. It's called Elsa Speak. It's an app that uses AI. It's backed by Google, and it's ranked as one of the top 5 AI apps in the world. Basically, it's an AI coach that can accurately identify and fix all of your pronunciation mistakes in real time. And it can even practice role-playing conversations with you, just like a native speaker could. So this is Glory. She speaks English as a second language. I guess we're gonna improve your English without needing my help at all. Here's the app. Why don't you click on Daily Lessons?
Energize the words in bold.
I think it would be nice to invite Mark and Jennifer.
I think it would be nice to invite Mark and Jennifer.
Oh.
Say think. More
emphasize.
I think it would be nice to invite Mark and Jennifer.
Okay.
Hey! Say and shorter and less howla.
I do think it's really cool how it told you to say and shorter, because in English, when we speak natively, we don't even say and, we just say N. Mark and Jennifer. We say it so quickly. So the app tailors each lesson to you. So each day you get a new lesson so you can practice stress, intonation, pronunciation, all kinds of things like that. And the best part, I think, is that with Elsa Speak is that you can engage on one-on-one conversations like you're speaking to a native speaker. I'm gonna select Karaoke Persuasion, which should be interesting because
you're at your office's annual karaoke competition. You've noticed that your new coworker, Ollie, has a beautiful voice, but she's too shy to sing in front of others.
Oh man, this is difficult. In real life, I would have told her just not to do it. Come on, Allie. It's just for fun.
I know, but I don't want to embarrass myself in front of everyone.
But the point isn't to sing well, it's just to have fun. Lots of people won't be able to sing well. Wow, it knows exactly what I said.
I understand.
That's actually pretty fun, even though I'm a native speaker. I'm really impressed with how quickly it recognizes what I said and then is able to generate a response that actually makes sense. This is pretty much exactly how a native conversation would go. Really cool feature. There's a lot more features that the Elsa app can do. I highly recommend getting the premium package so you can unlock even more tools to help improve your English. So again, that's Elsa Speak. Get the premium package and improve your English today. See, when most people come to Taiwan, they will usually start working in a busiban, or a cram school. It's essentially an after-school school, and I absolutely hated them. Picture stepping into a room that no one wants to be in because it's essentially a poorly decorated prison cell without any windows. They're usually accompanied with some really tacky stickers, such as this one that reads, "Keep calm," and "Your text here." They're horribly depressing places. And the one I worked at was essentially taking a giant hammer and smashing the English language into as many Taiwanese kids as possible. Cram schools are essentially the McDonald's fast food restaurant of English schools, and not the cool McDonald's from the 90s that are really bright and fun. I'm talking about the new crap ones that are all modern, if everyone in McDonald's had to know what verb past participle meant. And I'm not saying that everyone hates working in cram schools. I've met loads of foreigners who love their job working in a cram schools, the psychos. I just so happened to work at one as my first job in Taiwan, and I didn't even finish the contract. How about keep calm and quit? So I decided to go back to what I was good at, to what I went to school for. I went back to kindergarten. I got a job and my life improved immediately. The biggest difference is that instead of having a whole bunch of different students for like 2 to 6 hours a day, you have the same students 8 hours a day. And that means you're in charge of a lot more, like their routine, and you have to teach things like math and science and reading and writing, and even my favorite, playtime, which is when you hear these noises. You realize that your coffee could probably use some rum in it. You're responsible for all kinds of things. You have to make sure that they're drinking enough water and going to the bathroom and eating all their food, and hopefully by the end of the day, they'll still be alive when they go home to their parents and they become their drinking problem. See, working in a kindergarten all day long, all week long, in another country has its own set of challenges. A lot of people worry about working with kids that are from a different culture, but honestly, at the end of the day, for the most part, kids are kids, no matter where they're from.
Kaden, can you say daddy?
The biggest challenges comes from working with the Taiwanese staff. You see, lately, Taiwan has undergone a lot of changes in the educational system. You see, traditionally speaking, teachers in Taiwan were revered and feared. People did not mess with teachers. In fact, if parents were having trouble disciplining their children at home, they would call the teacher to essentially put the fear of God into their own students. In Taiwan, people are scared of the dark, ghosts, monsters, and at the top it's teachers. But lately that has changed with a lot of controversies coming out in schools with teachers behaving inappropriately to children, and now a lot of parents don't trust teachers in kindergartens, and so these days teachers are under a ton of pressure from parents. I actually came across some of these controversies firsthand. All jokes aside, it was awful. I worked at a school and there was a Taiwanese staff member who was like known for being extremely harsh, terrifying to all who crossed her. And about a year later, I ended up getting a job at a different kindergarten, and it came out that she was actually which was awful, especially because I knew some of those kids and I didn't work directly with her, but I did see her every day, and to know that was happening probably while I was there didn't feel really good. And so I don't blame Taiwanese parents for being so suspicious of teachers, and it truly shows that when you work with kids, they either bring the best side of you out or your worst side. It can happen a lot easier than you might think, especially when they're under that much pressure. And that's not even just because of the controversies, it's just the responsibilities that they have are enormous. They're constantly having to stay in contact with these parents, either through a notebook or through calling, and so usually they're working overtime just because they're on the phone with all the different parents that they work at. And this puts an enormous amount of stress on Taiwanese teachers. And so I found that for the most part, a lot of the teachers that I worked with were extremely high-strung and very anxious and very nervous, and they were basically walking ticking time bombs. And I had a hard time working with them because I tend to be a lot more lighthearted and I don't take things so seriously, which is easy for me to say because I didn't actually have to talk to the parents. And so if something happened, it was up to the Taiwanese staff to communicate that with the parents. And so I didn't have that much stress on my hands. But I did find it a little bit more difficult working with Taiwanese staff because sometimes they would explode or scream at kids, or they're often a lot more severe in their discipline. They seem to react a lot more harshly than foreign staff did. I just found that kind of terrifying because I was just as scared of the Taiwanese staff as the kids were. I don't really like having that conflict. I don't want to have to argue with anyone. And so I would just kind of let them be miserable in their position, and I try to do my best to, I don't know, make the kids have fun, because in my mind, they get like maybe 6 years of a decent carefree childhood, and then they go into the Taiwanese educational system where it's just like 20 years of hard labor basically. And so I wanted to give them, you know, the fun years while they have it, because going to school in Taiwan is not easy, and most Westerners, I think, probably wouldn't even be able to do it just because the amount of pressure that's put on students here in Taiwan. Myself included, I would not be able to make it through the Taiwanese education system, obviously.
120 divided by 10. Moron.
But as you can tell from the cards I received from my students, I had a great time teaching kindergarten, because when you work with the same set of kids every day, all year for years, or if you have your own kids, you tend to get pretty attached to them. And that means you care about them, even when you're not being paid to. When you see them master something they've been working a really long time on, it feels good, even when they copy some of your English, which can be hilarious. Like one time we were making a line and one of my students put his hand up and asked me, "Teacher, are we going to the playground?" Which is of course where they all want to go. And I said, "No, we're going to music class." And he just went in this cute voice in the back of the line, went, "Oh man," which I thought was hilarious. But you gotta be careful, because sometimes they copy English you don't really want them to learn. So for example, one time one kid answered a question wrong and another student said, "No, that's not the answer is 10. Jesus! Which when they're 6 is hilarious, but also you have to kind of keep in mind that they're not really supposed to be saying that. So I don't know. I found it was funny, but obviously, you do have to be careful with what words you use around kids, because their brains are basically sponges and they learn new languages way faster than adults can. And sometimes they master things that are really huge. Maybe not to us adults, but to them, it's a big deal. I worked with one Taiwanese student who, for some reason, kept leaving his pants off when he came out of the bathroom. So he would just walk into the hallway basically naked, which is a felony. We had to work with this kid for like a month to just get his clothes on, which, doesn't sound like a big thing, but to us it was huge. And I don't know, that sounds really weird to feel that good about a kid with their clothes on. But basically, my point is, because you're working with the same kids, all of the things that they do and the things that they accomplish feel really good as a teacher, because you're kind of a part of that and you're a big part in raising them and you're a big part in who they will become later as adults. Even if they don't remember you, you have a giant influence on them. And so if you can land a job at a relatively well-funded kindergarten, your life will brighten up immediately. The decor and the walls will actually make sense. And if you're lucky, you might even get a window. So do I regret teaching kindergarten in Taiwan? Myself personally, no. I feel pretty good that I was able to make such a big impact in other people's lives and make sure that they grow up to hopefully not be serial killers. And it's just a nice way to give back to Taiwan, because I do get to live here, I love living here, and to be able to do a job that matters felt really good. Will I go back to teaching kindergarten? I don't think so. These days I've been fortunate enough where I can do this YouTube channel full time, and I love it, and I don't want to do anything else. I taught kindergarten for like over 10 years. It's what I went to school for. I did the thing. I think I've seen all I needed to see, the good and the bad, and I'm just ready to try new things. But did I regret it? No. And I would recommend it if you're the person with enough patience and you have the right temperament. I think working in a kindergarten is a ton of fun, and you learn a lot about yourself, not even just about teaching. It truly puts you through your paces and you learn who you are really inside. But with all that said and done, don't forget to check out Elsa. If you're in Taiwan and you want to improve your English, this is an amazing app, as I showed you earlier in the video. So check them out in the link in the description below. If you think I've earned it, I would love it for you to subscribe so you don't miss another video. I put them out every single week. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Prosy_SR. Stay positive, keep your stick on the ice, and I'll catch you guys next week for another video.